Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. Really nice to see you all. And we're getting ready for Hanukkah tonight. I've quoted many times Rabbi Abraham J. Twersky of blessed memory, who, when he was 88 years old, wrote a book entitled Growing Up. And the way he starts the book off is, what do I want to be when I grow up? Right? So that's a cute question to ask, right? You ask every child, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he says he wants to be a doctor. He wants to be a fire truck, not a fireman, a fire truck, because they have the lights and everything. Or a police car, right? You ask a 3-year-old, right? Police car. He wants to be a Hatzalah truck. It's interesting, the answer. Right? Some will tell you Hatzalah man, but that's a little more. You ask a child what he wants to be. So Twersky starts off this book. What do I want to be when I grow up? I am 88 years old now. You assume at the age of 88 somebody grew up. Well, he goes on to explain that apparently not necessarily. So what does it mean to grow up? So he explains it at length, but in short, growing up, or what we call in Lashon Kodesh, becoming a gadol, right? We know when a boy turns 13, a girl turns 12, they become either a gadol or a gedola, literally meaning big. And before that age, we're called ketanim, small. Katan, ketana. What does it mean to be small and what does it mean to be big? Small, right? You see something, or you see a fire truck passing by. When you're small, all you see is the fire truck and the lights. When you're big, you realize that fire truck is on the way to a fire where people are in danger. And they're going, and it's important that the fire truck get there fast because it's going to save their life. When you see an ambulance passing by, when you're small, it makes a lot of noise, wheel, and lights and everything. As you get older, you realize that inside that truck there are people, there are volunteers. If we're talking about Hatzalah, right? Volunteers who just either got up in the middle of the night or were in the middle of something, in the middle of work, in the middle of spending time with their family, whatever it may be they were in the middle of doing, got up, ran out, and are giving their all to save somebody's life. And there's someone in the back of that truck whose life may very well be hanging in the balance. Or we hope that it's someone going to give birth, something happy, something nice. It brings to mind when my second son was born. He was born at home. Yeah, I had the privilege of delivering him.
Oh.
Yeah, it was not expected, no. We don't, with that type of thing, we generally don't plan out. A husband should not.
Was it on Shabbos?
Was on Shabbos morning, yes. And again, generally, a husband is not supposed to watch as his wife is giving birth. Sometimes they snap in the back, whatever it may be. But generally, the husband is out of the room at that point. You're not supposed to look there. But in my case, there was not really any choice, as I was the only one at home at the moment. The doula was on the way. It was a big miracle, actually. It was very nice. The doula was on the way, and my wife ended up calling Hatzalah Shabbos morning because my hands were full. And Baruch Hashem, so a lot of it was nice. Everyone came. I have some friends there. They ended up being part of those that came. So usually Hatzalah comes, everyone is scared. Wow, what's going to be? So usually someone isn't in trouble. In this case, everyone walked in, Mazel Tov, the Shabbos, Sachnaches, it was gorgeous. So that's big, right? Seeing things beyond the surface. And small is seeing things only on the surface, superficially. So now you understand, why is it that that a child or someone who does not have das, someone who does not have knowledge, or what really means das is a deeper knowledge, is not obligated to do any of the mitzvahs. Right? We train a child from depending on the mitzvah, from different ages, 3, 9, to train them into getting used to doing the mitzvahs, but there's no obligation. When does the obligation come? When they become a gadol, bar mitzvah, bas mitzvah. When they're able to get this beginning of deeper understanding, to be able to appreciate, what it is, to be able to really think, what's going on over here, what am I doing? And that's godless, and that's what we all have to strive to be gedolim, to be big. A real educator, a parent, a teacher, got to be big, because we're putting up sometimes with so much nonsense. I'm just thinking about myself and my teachers and my parents. I mean, honestly, I think my wife has to be very, very big. Which has got to put up with a lot of nonsense, a lot of immaturity. But still, to be able to see, no, this is not him. It's just his immaturity. He'll grow out of it, and to see the person beyond all the nonsense. Child, teenager, children, they think they know everything. We think that. Then the younger we are, the more we think we know everything. As the older we get, we realize we know less and less. Right? We think we know better, and our teachers and our parents have to patiently just sit back and, okay, I hear you. Yes, sure, and just cradle us as we matured and realized how much our parents were right, and how much we should have maybe listened to them a little bit more. So mitzvahs is something is tremendous. It's not just a ritual, as the title of this series is called. It's a relationship. It's something deep. It's something amazing. It's life. So as we approach the mitzvah of Hanukkah, right, which as children, right, is one way that we understood it. And just not all the mitzvahs. Hanukkah, Purim, Yom Tovim of Shalosh Regalim, the 3 holidays that we would go up to the Beis Hamikdash when we had the Beis Hamikdash, which are actually mentioned in the Torah, Sukkot, Pesach, Shavuos, then there's Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. So there's an understanding that we have for them as children, that as we get older, we have to grow out of that understanding, and just like we don't wear the same clothing that we have when we were born, when we were children, little, right? I recently found a suit, my son, I gave to my son, that I wore when I was 2. I tried to fit in, it didn't work, right? It doesn't fit. So too on an emotional and intellectual level, it doesn't fit. We have to grow our understanding as we grow up.
What about people that are comfortable where they are? They don't want to change.
Yeah.
In the American society, they're like, don't judge me for who I am. This is who I am. Either you accept me or you don't, but this is the way I am.
That's contrary to life, because life is growth. If we're not moving...
But what should your response be to people like that? It's
you
not living, it's going with the
to,
flow, not against the flow.
Who said you need to respond?
What if it's someone you care about?
Yeah.
The question is, you're someone that you care about. The question is, will your response...
What can you tell them in a way that your response will do something? Otherwise, it's like hitting your head against the wall. You don't want.
Sometimes you have to wait.
Just wait.
Sometimes you have to wait for them to grow up. Little by little, people do something. To say to each person.
But you hear what I'm saying, right?
I hear what you're saying, sure. Not necessarily responding to them is going to have any sort of effect on them. Sometimes people are asking questions, then it's not a question, it's an answer. They don't want the answer. They don't want to... Sometimes a person has to come to it on his own. Go through whatever he's got to go through to come to it on his own. You can be there for them, and you can mention, obviously, I don't know, you want to be blunt? A heartbeat of a live person goes up and down. We're always changing position, always looking for more and for better and higher, and then sometimes taking a step back and jumping up again. When we're flat, if this is who I am, that's it. That's flatline. That's heart attack.
It's not alive.
Yeah, it's a code. Code blue. Finished. To get a person out of that, you got to give them a good shock.
The shock is the reset.
The resuscitate. You gotta resuscitate him or her. We gotta try to keep on moving. Keep on moving. So right, so all our life we understand Hanukkah. It's very nice. It's a holiday of lights, and everyone gets together. And really, it's cold outside, and we all huddle together by the menorah, and it's warm inside, and we have some hot latkes just came off the pan, and some fresh donuts. Right? Again, a child he sees a donut. A grown-up sees calories. Right? It's a different perception.
Some adults also only see donuts.
Huh?
Some adults also only see donuts.
Those that they choose to stay young, and not age. But that's a topic for a different time and a different night.
But is there a way is there a way for someone who's older to feel young but still mature?
Of course.
How? What's the
Fresh.
normal balance of
not
that?
Silly. No, you have the deepness, but you realize yourself. It's an even deeper understanding to realize that I'm still fresh, and to keep yourself fresh, and to keep on doing and keep on doing and keep on doing and striving for more, but at the same time using your life experience to grow on that to do it more effective, but with the same energy as a 2-year-old. Right? There is what to learn from children. The stages in life are not meant to be forgotten. They're meant to be built upon. So as we get older, we build upon our childhood in terms of the freshness, in terms of the happiness, serenity, smile, being busy, meaning not being idle, right? But we implement the maturity that we get, and then put the two and two together, and that's a gorgeous person. It's not every step in life is a building block. So as we have that, so that's Hanukkah, right? It's light and it's snowing outside. It has to be snowing. I remember the first time that as I was getting older, when I was 6 or 5, and like all the pictures were always, the menorah, the window, snowflakes. I'm like, Hanukkah, it's not snowing. It doesn't make sense. I remember this thought going through my head at around 4 or 5 years old, I think. Right? And that's very nice for a 4 or 5-year-old. Right? You hear the story, the Maccabees and the Yevonim and the fighting and the elephants and the menorah and the oil and that's why we eat donuts and that's what we like, because it lit for 8 days. A tremendous miracle, gorgeous. But if we stay just with that as we grow up, so all it becomes, it's our version of a holiday that happens around the same time, which doesn't belong to us, which throughout history has been the day that Jews were massacred, right, because of what it symbolizes. But just a time to spend. It's our way of spending time with family. So they have a tree, and we have a menorah. But if we stay with that same superficial understanding as we get older, we say like, hey, what's the difference? Why can't we have both? Why can we also have lights all around the house? There was such a question asked. We sent it to one of the newspapers a few years ago, and they're really that ninjalka lights. Right? You want to have lights? Have lights. What bothered me more was where the question came from. The question came from a certain emptiness. An emptiness of a misunderstanding of what the day means. Or when people compare Purim to Halloween. Oh, it's a Jewish Halloween.
But isn't the mitzvah of Hanukkah to bring light where there's a lot of darkness?
Right. So
why can't you do the whole light stuff also?
Light
up your whole house and light up the outside of your house and the trees and the...
So we'll get to that. But where that question was coming from was, what's the difference? The questionnaire didn't see a difference between Hanukkah. It was just their version, our version.
There shouldn't be a question in the first place. There shouldn't be a question like that in the first place.
But there shouldn't be a question once we understand what Hanukkah is, which we're going to try to understand tonight. But if we stay with the 2-year-old, 3-year-old idea of what Hanukkah is all about, then okay, so why not? There's no depth. There's nothing behind it. So that's why it's crucial to keep on learning and keep on growing. You know, as I've mentioned, Rabbi Yehuda Zev Segel of Manchester Rosh Yeshiva was a very, very holy person, a very, very pious person, a tremendous Torah scholar. He was in his late 70s, no, if not older even, and he had been putting on a talis, you know, since he was married at least, right? For many tens of years. He was learning the laws about putting on a talis, and he found a way that maybe he could do it even better. Not to say that he wasn't doing it right, but doing it a little bit better. He took out his talis and he started practicing. He didn't have to.
What's a better way of putting on your talis?
Huh?
What's the example of a better way of putting on your talis?
Though I think, if I remember the story correctly, it was the way he wrapped it. There are different ways to wrap it. Different customs. But he didn't, or just to, I think he took it out just to make sure that he was doing it right. I have to look back in the book to see the story. It was an account of the one he was learning with, who's witnessed all of this. He could have said, what do you mean? I know how to do it. I'm doing it for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. I should know what I'm doing, right? But no, it was that's the youth, by the way. That's the youth with the maturity.
Meaning always being curious, always wanting to learn more.
I could learn more, but just because I'm 75, I can't learn anymore?
Some people think it's an
then
embarrassment.
Huh?
Some people take it as an embarrassment, like, what are you trying to teach me? Who are you to teach me?
Staying a child when you're 55.
But
that's the immaturity.
That's the immaturity.
That's the immaturity. That's being afraid of your child that is something that's negative and wanting to go away with it, so I can't be a child.
But some people are always running away from it.
Huh?
Some people are always running away from it because of something in the past or whatever.
But the bracha of Shalom, right? Oh, you're right.
Shalom,
the bracha of Shalom,
inner
peace. V'yasem lacha shalom is you should be content with yourself, because not this is who I am and I'm not moving anywhere, but realizing this is who I am, this is what I have, and these are my tools to build and to mature and to grow and to make my life even more meaningful. So having said all that, let's try to approach Hanukkah and understand. Again, there's a lot. This is in no way, shape, or form everything. This is just tip of the iceberg. And from here, everyone feel free to keep on learning. The Talmud teaches us in Maseches Shabbos, Kol hazoyer bener, havilan bonim tamid chacham. One who is careful with a candle, and Rashi explains that this is referring to the candles, the Shabbos candles, and the candles of Hanukkah. Havilan bonim tamid chacham will have children who are Torah scholars.
But what does that mean, like practically? How do we do it in a way?
Oh, when how to be careful.
Yeah.
So we'll try to explain that now. And the Gemara brings proof that there were big sages, Torah scholars, who was attributed to the fact that their mothers, their parents, over there it's mentioned their mothers, but it refers to parents and anyone. Father, mother, because even the Shabbos candles have to do with both. It's brought down the husband should prepare it for his wife.
Well, what if the wife doesn't like the way the husband prepares it?
So they should come to a mutual understanding and a way that he should do it, that she will like it. So I always wondered why. Why is that significant? That's what's going to make your son a Torah scholar? How about, I would say, learning with him. I don't know, saying certain portions of Psalms. I know, wrapping different bands around. I don't know, all different things that people come up with today. Some people come up with, some have sources. Why is being careful with a candle, with lighting a candle, so significant? Having a son, a Torah scholar, is not just someone that it's not just academic knowledge. It's a real Torah scholar, a real Talmud Chacham. The word Torah scholar doesn't really even do it justice. Talmud Chacham is a concept. It's a whole. Talmud Chacham is not just knowing Torah. It's his whole essence is on a higher level, on a higher plane.
Maybe it's because fire is something that you can share without losing anything.
True. But look at the way the Gemara says
Just
it.
like
Kol
the Torah.
hazahir been there.
Oh.
One who is careful, not one who lights. One who is careful.
Maybe it's careful with the right machshava and attitude. Meaning like, oh, I'm lighting and I'm staying here for another 30 minutes as opposed to I'm lighting and running away.
That's maybe on the track. We're on the track. But I was thinking something else. Along the same lines as what you're saying. When in the home, it's the atmosphere in the home is one of that this is important. Right? And the Shabbos candles, it's a mitzvah. So first and foremost, being careful with a mitzvah. Right? Being careful. Treating it with reverence. Treating it with not just respect, but awe. There's something special. That permeates the household. That's something that's digested. Actually, I meant to mention this in the beginning. I would like to dedicate this shir in memory of an acquaintance of mine. Someone who I've known since we were kids, since I was 7, he was 6. A young man by the name of Rabbi Aaron Shane. He just passed away. Left over a family with 2 little children. His father was my 2nd grade Rebbe who had a big impact on me. And as I get older, I realize it more. So they actually said by his funeral, he really managed to permeate his household with a certain atmosphere, this atmosphere of happiness, atmosphere of kol hazor, of being careful. Mitzvah's Torah, mitzvahs was special, was awesome. That has an impact automatically, without you telling specifically your child, this is what you should do, but they see the parent, the example. The air that comes out, that they breathe in the house is such a type of air. But that doesn't answer the question of ner. And that's where we get into a little bit what you mentioned. If you take a look at these 2 candles that we light, right? Hanukkah and Shabbos. It's a very small, not huge bonfires, right? No. Not lighting. It's not like Boimer. You're lighting in the middle of the street, huge fire. Small little candles. If we look at Ner Shabbos, what's one of the main reasons that we light candles on Shabbos? Shalom Bayis. Right? There should be more light in the home, especially then when there was no electricity. Right? So candles made a difference. And even now, it's nice when you see candles. It's a pleasant feeling. You come home and you see candles on your table. It's a certain feeling of serenity created by a small little candle. Ner Chanukah also. When do we light Ner Chanukah? We light it as it gets dark. When it's getting dark outside, and you have this. Think about this. You walk by the street, and you see everyone's Chanukah lights in the window. Small little lights. Minimal, just to light for half an hour. But when you think about first of all when you see those lights, it creates. You would think a small little one. What does it do? No, but it lights up. A little bit of light lights up a lot of darkness. I think Rav Nachman Bresler said that one. powerful. But even more than that, even when that specific candle has gone out, but when you remember, and you can look and ask, even like people that went through the war, they went through really dark periods in their life. Many times, what kept them going, kept them alive, was the memory of their mother lighting Shabbos candles, with the memory of Hanukkah candles. I remember reading a story as a child about a girl who, that specifically that's such not a good word for this, procedure. It takes away everything. Lighting candles with her family and remembering her father letting her choose the color of the candles that she wanted to use, that's what kept her going throughout the war. Whatever she survived, her family, whatever she built afterwards, was because of that. So called Hazoyer Ben Ner, a Talmid Chacham by nature is someone who lights up, who takes from himself, who takes in Torah, takes in Yerushalayim, takes it all in and gives it out by his very nature. Whether he's doing it actively or passively, but a Talmid Chacham is someone who creates an atmosphere around him. Kol Hazoyer Ben Ner, someone who's careful to light, not just to light it and go, but to really light it. Not just light it, but to light it. And not just to light the physical wick, but to, in that way, to light up the world. Light up himself, first and foremost. Become a source of light to those around him. The fact that they're careful specifically with this, of being that source of light, and that's important to them, and they're approaching you with that awe and with that reverence, that goes into the children. And the children want to emulate that. When we give over in a way that's delightful, pun intended, delightful, it lights up. That in a positive way, in an uplifting way, that passes on.
How do you do it in a way that doesn't let you burn out? Like, I feel like some people, they do it and then they burn out.
You have to keep replenishing your stock.
How?
By learning. A teacher that doesn't learn can't teach. You can't teach you can't. Even he has a curriculum to teach, but if he's not enriching himself, Rabbi Jacobson actually just mentioned that when I heard him recently on something, and he was talking from personal experience, and it's a true fact all around. Not necessarily learning in order to have what to say, but learning for yourself, like really being selfish about it. This is my use for myself. I can't use this in a speech, but this is for me. It comes to replenishing your stock. So you become a source. So that's the way I wanted to explain that Maimer Chazal in the Gemara. So getting down to the actual lighting, what's happening when we're lighting? What is this lighting? Lighting of Hanukkah? Yeah, I understand that. Shabbos, fine. Shabbos is a mitzvah, Menat Torah, there's Shalom Bayis, there's Sachar V'Shama, there are many things that go into Shabbos. What is Hanukkah? Rabbi Leo Dessler was a very big again in English it just doesn't sound right. He was a Balmusa, but he was he was an expert in Jewish thought and really giving meaning to everything that we do. Tremendous, again, Talmid Chacham, Torah scholar, a big tzaddik, a very pious person. And he explains this a little bit. There are many. We always do the minimum, but the statement that we said, "Kol Hazor Ben Ner,"